Alright, so this is part 2 of my collection update. This ought to be a lot shorter than the last video because there's not a whole lot more really to talk about. But I did want to start back with the Batman case and do a quick addendum to the last video. I mentioned possibly bringing the SWAT Gordon from Hot Toys back in the collection, and as you can see, there he is. And really happy to bring this figure back into the collection. It's still pretty easy to get. I actually got it for a little bit below retail from a seller on Facebook, because all the eBay and Mercari sellers were all just being greedy and stupid and just charging more for the figure than what he's really worth. You can go on there and see from previous sold listings that he typically goes for right around the 200 to 220 range, so a little bit below retail. If y'all remember though, I bought this Gordon figure back when it first came out back in 2012. That was a Toy Fair exclusive, and I pre-ordered it day one, and then by the next day I think it had gone to wait list, and it was really hard to get ever since after that, until the Dark Knight Rises Gordon came out, and then he became a lot easier to find on eBay, and now both of them are still pretty easy to find, which is kind of interesting because Gordon's not a character that they've done a million times like they have the Joker or Batman. They've even done a couple different versions of Two-Face by now. But anyway, all that to say, this is a really good figure. Got a good deal on it, so he's still easily attainable if you want to bring him into your collection. It's of course an older figure, 2012, but it still holds up really well. I mean, that's a great Gary Oldman head sculpt. And the outfit and all that is good too. We haven't got the ideal Gordon yet, in my opinion, because here you got Gordon in the SWAT disguise, and then for the Dark Knight Rises, the Gordon that came with that, you also get the Bat Signal and the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Blake figure. So if you don't want that whole set, which I used to have that, had it for years, but I don't really want to bring that back into the collection at this point. But with that particular release, you have Gordon wearing regular clothes, just a shirt, sweater, and then just a regular jacket. So he's got a more standard look, but the outfit is specific to the Dark Knight Rises. But while the outfit is specific to Dark Knight Rises, they reuse the same head sculpt from this figure, which I get why they did it, but Gordon looks a little bit different in Dark Knight Rises. He looks older, he's got longer hair and that kind of thing. So for me, that figure just doesn't really work. And I didn't want to bring any more Dark Knight Rises figures back in the collection. I'm fine with just those three right there. But for Gordon, I mean, yeah, I originally thought I was just going to bring Batman and the main villains into the collection, but I decided because Gordon's such a central character and he's still fairly easy to get, then why not? So I think he looks great there with that Dark Knight setup. But the main thing I'm talking about in this video is everything in this cabinet. And so, again, this is the same kind of cabinet, it's the IKEA Rutsta. And I like these cabinets because, I mean, I had furniture down here anyway that I wasn't really using for anything else, or that, I mean, I have a chest of drawers over there, and then I have this desk right here, and these cases just take up vertical space. They don't take up any additional space, like floor space or anything otherwise. And even figures on the bottom shelf are easy to see, whereas like with a Detolf or something, if it's a case that you sit on the floor, anything you put on the bottom shelf is going to be really hard to see. But with these, getting these Rutsta cases and sitting them on top of other things, it's still pretty easy to see, to get a good look at what's on the bottom shelf. So, but that's just me, and that's because my collection is fairly small. If I had a huge collection, I'd be getting bigger cabinets than these. But I think just for me and my needs, these are perfect. A little bit of a pain to put together, and a little bit of a pain to put the lights in, but once you get it all set up, it's definitely well worth it. So then with this cabinet, it was kind of just sort of a miscellaneous sort of catch-all cabinet. I mean, clearly the other one is Batman themed, and this is just kind of everything that's not Batman. But I realized when I got it all set up and put everything in it that this also kind of has a theme of its own, where these are all classic films from the 70s and 80s. And so it all kind of, to me, it just works. So you have Godfather on the top shelf, Rocky on the middle shelf, and then the bottom shelf is currently being shared by Empire Strikes Back and the Clint Eastwood series. So for the top shelf, these are the two Godfather figures from Damn Toys, and I reviewed both of these a little over a year ago when I first got them. So these are from my original collection. I never did sell these, and glad that I didn't. So this is the formal tuxedo version, and then this is, I think, what's called the Golden Years version. So both of these are still just two of my favorite figures. The Godfather is probably my favorite movie after Batman Begins. And I only like Batman Begins better, not because it's a better film, because I mean Godfather I think is clearly a better film, but just because Batman Begins is an amazing film that just happens to be about Bruce Wayne's journey to become Batman. But as far as just what in my opinion is the greatest film of all time, and my second favorite would be the first Godfather. And so I'm glad that I hung on to these figures. They're still not too hard to get. They've both gone up in value a little bit. They have sold out over the past year. The formal tuxedo version especially is a little bit higher in demand. I think both these guys retailed for around $250. I think the formal version was around $250, and the Golden Years version here was about $270. The formal version goes for just north of $300 on eBay, but if you did some looking around and you were patient, you could probably get him for below $300. But he has risen in popularity. The Golden Years version has sold out on retailers for a long time as well, but still not quite as sought after in the secondary market. You can still get him for, his retail was $270, so, and you could probably get him for around $250, honestly, with some looking around. And this is based on just going on eBay and looking at sold listings. I don't know if it'll be like that forever, though. I mean, because this is a unique figure. We have a few different Godfathers with the tuxedo look. There's the Hot Toys version, obviously, that came out in 2009. I bought that brand new, and then I owned it for 10 years, and then I sold it not long before these guys came out. And that's an awesome figure. I thought that it was perfection at the time, but I mean, Damn Toys has even really improved on what we'd gotten from Hot Toys. If you look at that head sculpt, I mean, that's just fantastic. So you can really see that likeness to Brando. I mean, even under heavy lighting from the cabinet light plus my phone, there's quite a bit of light on him. But even with that, you can still see how good that head sculpt really is. And then with the Golden Years version, I think that's the same head sculpt, but then he gets two additional head sculpts as well. So you can go back and look at that video for more details on that. And so, yeah, so I reviewed both these figures. Really no reason to comment on them much further other than just to say they're awesome. And I know for my collection, there's just, if I'm going to collect figures at all, there's just a few things that are just essential, really just non-negotiable. I have to have in a collection, which is Batman and the Godfather for sure, and then preferably Rocky and a little bit of Star Wars, which we'll get to all that. The Rocky shelf you can see is empty because none of the figures that will go here have arrived yet. So I've already got everything set up and prepared. So right here is where the Loan Shark version from Sly Stallone Shop will go. So if you haven't heard of that figure, look it up. SlyStalloneShop.com. There's a few different versions of it. I got the one that has the most stuff. I mean, I think it's called the premium version or something like that. So he actually comes with the fence that he stands behind when he's like, oh, how do you spell Del Rio? I think it's that fence. And then he's wearing the
fedora and the jacket. He comes with Butkus. He comes with the turtles, Cuff and Link. I mean, everything you would want. And he's just a street clothes Rocky figure. It looks so incredible. I'm really, really looking forward to that. And when I pre-ordered it last year, they said it was supposed to arrive around January of 2024. Well, now here we're in March, and the date just keeps getting pushed further and further back. I'm hoping that the extra wait time will be worth it, because I mean, I'm really looking forward to having that. I think given how well they did on Rambo, given how good that head sculpt is, I don't think we have much to worry about in terms of quality. I think that's going to be excellent. And then over on this side, I have on pre-order the Apollo Creed and Rocky figures from Star Ace. Now, Star Ace is hit and miss. Their first Rocky, which was the street clothes version from Rocky 2, was pretty atrocious. Star Ace tends to be hit and miss. I've had figures from Star Ace over the years that have been really good, like the Steve McQueen. And the Apollo Creed has been released, I think, at least overseas. I saw a couple of reviews of that figure, and it actually looks better than in the prototype photos. It looks more like Carl Weathers in those videos than it did in the prototype photos. So really looking forward to getting Apollo Creed. And again, the Rocky is the boxing version of Rocky from Rocky 2. So it doesn't really make sense. I mean, I don't know why they're giving us those in that particular order. Why not give us a Rocky 1 Rocky as well? I'm sure they will, but for some reason they're just waiting. Don't know what they're waiting on, but just is what it is. So in the meantime, this will be a Rocky 1 Apollo and then a Rocky 2 Rocky. The only reason why that matters is because they wear different trunks in both films, as you Rocky fans know. So looking forward to getting those. I'm on the fence about possibly getting the training version from Sly Stallone shop. Maybe getting either just getting the basic version that doesn't come with anything and just sticking that in here, because it wears the clothes that you see right there in that poster where he wears all his sweats and his beanie and all that. So just wears the training clothes. Either getting the light version or just going all the way and getting the version with the most stuff. So the premium version, or whatever they call it, of that one, the one that has the most stuff, comes with the hook with the meat hanging on it that he beats on when he's over at Paulie's meat house when in the freezer. So it comes with that whole bit. It comes with extra head sculpts, like a mean snarling head sculpt to go with that. It just looks incredible. So the only thing is with that diorama piece, I don't know, it wouldn't fit in here, so I'd have to get a table and a display case, kind of like that, probably that same one that the Joker is in there, that same height and width, and sit that over here. So that'd be the only place that where it would work that I could put it. But it's awful expensive, like even more expensive than the Lone Shark Collector. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. I don't know. We'll see. But really looking forward to these Rocky figures coming out, if they ever come out. I mean, it seems like it's just taking forever. So there's that. I'll be making videos on those as they're released and as I'm ready to review them. I'll be reviewing those as soon as I get them, but that's just a waiting game at this point. And then down here, so I used to have a massive Star Wars collection, as some of you know. And for many reasons, just kind of lost interest in Star Wars. Just Disney has kind of ruined it for me. They've done some good stuff, like the first 2 seasons of Mando, and then Andor, and then Rogue One. Those are all really good, but there's been a lot of other stuff they've put out where we had high hopes for this just turned out to be garbage, in my opinion. And from what I've heard, Ahsoka wasn't very good. I was disappointed with the Obi-Wan show, and I think we were all disappointed in the Boba Fett show. And the sequel trilogy was just complete hot garbage. I mean, Force Awakens was pretty good, but after that, it just went straight downhill and all just spiraled down into just a bunch of nonsense. So, I mean, at this point, I mainly just kind of just focus on the original trilogy and like to pretend that none of the rest of it ever happened. It's kind of what I've reverted back to. So this is all I have left. This is my Star Wars collection right here. And this is really, I think, all that I need. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. Those 2 characters, Vader and Luke, father and son. And so that's the Empire Strikes Back Vader from Hot Toys, and that's the newest DX Luke from Hot Toys, the Bespin Luke. And the original, the first Bespin Luke that they did, I haven't owned that figure in many years. I think a lot of collectors think that this is an improvement. I guess it is an improvement as far as that clean head sculpt, but I hate that it did not come with battle damage clothing or anything like that. So if you remember the Bespin Luke, the Hot Toys did it was like the DX, I can't remember, 13, 14, something like that. That was a figure set. So you got two figures. You got two Lukes. One was clean and one was battle damage. And the battle damage one was just excellent. And so here you just get one figure, and it comes with a ton of stuff, but you still only get just one figure, and it still cost way more than that 2-pack did back in the day. But I think the 2-pack has gone down in value as a result and is now easier to get. So you still would have that option if you wanted it, but I'm happy enough with this Luke. And for me, Luke is just kind of an accessory to Vader because I love Vader, especially in Empire Strikes Back. But I mean, this is really what the whole saga comes down to is these two, and this is the most iconic scene. I still love Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it's all the other Star Wars movies probably aren't even in my top 20 at this point. I mean, I still like New Hope and really like Return of the Jedi, but for me, Empire Strikes Back is still in my top 5. It's just such a classic that stands head and shoulders above the other films. And I think Rogue One is pretty excellent too. I would actually put Rogue One maybe slightly ahead of New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But that's just my opinion. But Rogue One is one of those movies that when it first came out, I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's pretty good. I was still mainly focused on the sequel trilogy like most of us were. So it was kind of an odd time for it to come out. But over the years, the more I've watched Rogue One, the more I've liked it. So I used to have a ton of Rogue One figures. And of course, I had a ton of original trilogy figures across the board. Quite a few prequel trilogy figures and even some Mandalorian figures. I used to have a huge Star Wars collection. Sold all that off probably a couple of years ago. Been close to 2 years ago now. And I say Star Wars fans are crazy in the aftermarket. It's just so they will spend so much money on these things, like the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan and Anakin that I had. I'd paid like below 200 retail on those, and that was for the Revenge of the Sith Anakin, the regular one, and then the deluxe Obi-Wan. I'd gotten really good deals on those, and then years later, when I sold them, they both went for like $600-700. It was crazy, and then Krennic sold for like 400 something. Dooku sold for 400 and something. The Han and Chewie 2-pack that I had from New Hope had sold for like $1,000. I mean, it was insane. So those were really good investments without me really thinking much about that. I mean, I just got the figures that I wanted. I mean, I've learned it's not good to buy these as an investment because you never really know what's going to go up and by how much. Like this Vader would be worth a ton at this point if Hot Toys didn't do so many Vaders. And here they just had a Vader come out from the Obi-Wan show, which looks really awesome. But I'm not interested in the source material. But I'm still tempted to get it anyway, just because it looks so so phenomenal. I actually got on the wait list for it. So anyway, so we'll see what happens there. Again, it's one that I'm on the fence about, but it just looks so amazing. But the Return of the Jedi version is up for pre-order. That's after that. So we've gotten how many Vaders from Hot Toys, and then we have some really good ones from Sideshow as well. So there's so many 6-scale Vaders, and so that would, if this were the only Vader, I mean, you can only imagine what it would be going for on eBay right now. And so popular characters tend to be made multiple times. So and that hurts it tends to hurt the value, but that's okay. That's why I've learned not to collect as an investment because you never know what's going to happen on the aftermarket. I mean, it's just hard to predict. But so yeah, I sold off most of my Star Wars collection and haven't looked back. I mean, and this is all I have left, and this is frankly all I need. Then these are the Clint Eastwood figures, which I've already gone over in the last couple of videos. And I think in long term, it's going to be the Will Money from Unforgiven figure is going to go front and center. And it's going to be Dirty Harry and Pale Rider back behind it. I would honestly just rather, because I prefer to stick to like top 10 favorite movies, and Unforgiven is the only one that's in my top 10 out of all these Eastwood films. I would rather just display the Will Money from Unforgiven if it came with anything. But just the one figure standing there would just be so much empty space around it. I just wouldn't look all that great. So like I've explained before, that's why I've decided to make this just a general Eastwood display. So get Will Money front and center, and then get Dirty Harry and Pale Rider, because I would put Dirty Harry is in my top 20 for sure. Pale Rider probably top 30 or 40, I don't know. But so just really getting a couple of other Eastwood characters that I really like just to kind of fill out the display. And by the way, these are all sold out at this point, and that Josie Wales has turned out to really be not only the best figure in that line, but probably the best 6-scale head sculpt that Sideshow has ever done. I mean, it's just really a work of art. But I don't know if I'll keep that long term, because there's really not enough to justify it. It's not like Josie Wales isn't like a top favorite film or anything. It doesn't meet any of the criteria that I've laid out. I'm not even. I kind of I pre-ordered this whole line just on impulse last year when I decided to get back into collecting, and so I don't know if I'll keep. I don't know how many of these I'll keep long term, but the Will Money is definitely at the top of the list, and I wish I could get a horse for him. I mean, I've looked at 6-scale horses, and I've seen there is one that's white with some gray on it, and the horse in the film it's white and has like little gray spots all over it. And so the horse looks kind of like that one, but not really. So that wouldn't really look right. And all the saddle and rigging and all that isn't the same. So that I don't think that would really work. But I would love to have other figures from that film to display with him, or a custom of his horse or something. But we're probably not going to get any of that. So there is the Eastwood corner, and I'd be willing to put something else in that corner if anything else came along, like something else that was in my top 10 favorite movies were to come out figure-wise. I do have I can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, I do have the 3-0 Agent Scully from X-Files. I used to have Mulder. You see where I reviewed him on here a couple of years ago, but I finally sold him because I couldn't find Scully. Well, now here recently I found Scully for like a really good price, like just almost right at her original retail. So I got that, and now I'm looking for Mulder again. And so if I find Mulder, I'm going to put Mulder and Scully right here and sell all the Eastwood figures. If Hot Toys ever eventually comes out with a Bespin Han Solo, and they put out a new Chewbacca to go with him, then I will get those, and those will be here. And this whole shelf can be Empire Strikes Back. I would love it if they did a Bespin Han, if they released a new Chewbacca, and if they did a new release or re-release of the Hoth Leia, or even Bespin Leia. That would all work I'd be willing to get more Empire Strikes Back figures for this shelf, but only if the only way that would get the ball rolling on that for me is if they re-released the Bespin Han Solo. Don't know when that's going to be. I'm sure they'll do it eventually, but we've been waiting on that for years and years and years. And they've just put up the indoor version of Han, so I guess they're going to let us just be satisfied with that for however long. So that tells me they probably won't be for a while yet before they do a Bespin Han. Oh, I mean, maybe they will. Maybe they'll just take the head sculpt from. It'd be easier for them to just reuse that head sculpt from the indoor Han and then just make, same body and everything, and then just make the outfit from Bespin and just throw that on him and put that out. But again, I wouldn't even get that unless they re-released Chewie and Leia to put out with him. It'd be pointless just to get Han by himself. So anyway, not sure what's going to happen long term with that corner. I've always had a hard time deciding what to put there. I did have Marty McFly and Doc Brown from Back to the Future there, but those figures to me aren't that good. It's not Hot Toys' best work. Even with Einstein and Plutonium and all that, it was a pretty decent setup, but I just never could get it to look right because, frankly, those figures suck. The head sculpts just suck. The accessories are good and all that, but the reused Doc Brown head sculpt from their Part 2 Doc, and not even fixing the holes on the side of the head, that's just inexcusable. But anyway, so neither of those figures were very good. I finally decided just to sell those and give this corner to Eastwood. So Eastwood's there for now. I don't know what that's going to be like long term. I'd rather ideally I'd like to have a Bespin Han with Chewie and Hope and Leia, and give that whole bottom shelf to Empire Strikes Back just for consistency's sake. But right now, I mean, this looks well enough. So yeah, so mainly at this point, just waiting for the Rocky figures right there to fill this thing out. And that's pretty much everything. That's the collection update. So Batman over there. Then classic films from the 70s and 80s over here. So I don't plan, there's no way the collection is going to get any bigger than this. I may tweak a few minor things in the coming months or years, but right now this is right where I want it. So now it's just a matter of patience, waiting for those Rocky figures and for that Robert Pattinson Batman to go on that bottom shelf over there. It's all taking forever, and I'm getting super impatient. Hopefully the wait will be worth it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.